Hello. Thank you for coming to day 2 of the Rezzed session. Sorry about the delay for starting, but we're all ready to go now. This is Tony Gowland, the developer of Dead End Job, and James Parker, the developer of RICO. We do a lot of postmortems of games, talking about how they were made, but this is a postmortem battle. These have both made their second game. They're a little bit similar, but a lot different, I think. And they're going to talk about their relative experiences.
Hello.
Hello.
The man has gone who does the thing.
Some technical difficulties remain.
Huzzah. Hello. Welcome to this, the second ever postmortem battle. This is me. Some high energy starts to really get you in the mood. So I am James Parker. I run a company in Bristol called Ground Shatter. We released a game called Skyscrapers, which is a vertically scrolling fighting game where you fight your way to the top of a collapsing building. We did Black and White Bushido for Endemol, and most recently we released RICO, which I'll show you in a second. Last time we did this talk, it was at Develop, which is a games development conference in Brighton. We were up for Best Micro Studio that evening. We didn't win it, but I made the slide anyway, so I just thought I'd leave it in. And this is RICO.
The city is in the thrall of the biggest spree of organised crime since Prohibition. They consider themselves untouchable. We are a one-of-a-kind rapid response unit. And be under no illusion, I wasn't brought here because of any kind of international special relationship. And you aren't here because you are the best of the best. We're here because we are easy scapegoats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are underfunded and ill-equipped for the challenges that stand in front of us. If you want to leave now, the exit is over there. For the rest of you, welcome to RICO.
So you get the idea with that.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at you.
Hello. I mean, that is very racist. My name is Tony Gowland. I run a studio called Ant Workshop. We are based in Edinburgh. We made our first game, Binaries. It was a 2D puzzle platform game. We got some awards and some nominations for some stuff. I was nominated for a Scottish BAFTA. That isn't actually a picture of me winning a Scottish BAFTA. That is a picture of Peter Molyneux that I photoshopped my face onto, and I can't remember why. We developed Dead End Job. It is a procedurally generated 2D shooter where you run around and shoot ghosts. might be thinking it looks a bit like Ghostbusters. It is legally very different from Ghostbusters.
Tony and I go quite a long way back together. We're that level of, the level of friendship where someone makes a marshmallow of your faces and then sends it to you through the, that level of friendship? The level of friendship where you meet up at EGX and eat your own faces together? That level of friendship that you're all familiar with? We're kind of that level of friendship.
Yeah, James, we originally met because James hired me to work at a company called Particle Systems. We were working on a revolutionary new first-person shooter called EXO. It got the front cover of Edge magazine. We spent 3 years developing it. It was supposed to look like this. It actually looked like this. And then the company basically ran out of money, and that was kind of that.
After that, we were bought by Argonaut. We worked on the Lego Bionicle game, which was before Lego games were good. And then after that, we worked on Catwoman, which was before any games were good. And then we worked on various demos of things, Bionicle City of Legends, Zorro, and this one at the bottom is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And this is the only known image of that game. So, this is the format. Like any Postmortem battle, it's split into a series of rounds. We're going to be judged against one another on how we've done in our careers since diverging. And it's going to be no holds barred.
So regarding that, we kind of refer to the first kind of row, and like this little bit in the middle, that's the splash zone. That's where the mucus, the blood, and all that. So if you look,
there will be fluids.
If you look underneath your seats, there are disposable ponchos for the front couple of rows to put on there. If you'd like to do that now, just to protect your clothing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you will need to do that. So essentially, we started our careers together, and then we went our separate ways. And so the first round is really kind of judging us on what we did since then. Oh, crucial admin. We are playing for this, the 2001 Develop Magazine Counter-Strike Tournament Trophy. It's not with us today. It's in a vault somewhere because it is so valuable and made of solid gold, as you can see.
And the man wouldn't let us bring weapons in.
Yeah, it's a working rifle.
Round one.
So after working at Argonaut, I left and got a job at Rockstar Leeds. We were the handheld studio at Rockstar. We developed the PSP versions of GTA. So we did Liberty City Stories, very good Metacritic. Vice City Stories, also very good Metacritic. And then GTA Chinatown Wars, which is still the highest Metacritic rated Nintendo DS game. It is officially better than Mario Kart. It is officially better than Zelda. Thank you very much. After working on these games, I spent a little bit of time working on a relatively famous horse riding simulator, and that also scored fairly highly on the old Metacritic there.
So while Tony was doing that, earning high Metacritic scores, I went a different route and I sold boiler parts by fax. For young people in the audience, a fax machine is kind of like Tinder. I also worked for a bit at Codemasters and was fired. I worked at Blitz on various high-quality titles where the Metacritic rating isn't important. That's the thing we have to tell ourselves, that not everything can be judged by numbers. Some of it can be judged by how much you met Simon Cowell, which is not at all. Worked for Fluffy Logic, worked for Opposable Games. None of those companies exist anymore. The only one that does is the one that fired me, so you can judge from that what you will. So I think, does anyone have an inkling of who did better? Gowland, obviously. So yeah, now we get in, that was just like an easy win for Tony because he needs these things. So we move on to the real kind of elements of the Postmortem now. This is how we got our various deals.
Round two.
Yeah, this is some very important business development we did at GDC. Tony ate all of these onion rings on a small metal plane. Tony is very good at business development.
Yeah, so I'm very good at Twitter business development. This is when I got to port the Swindle through Twitter. This is when I got Devolver Digital to cover our bar tab. And this was what led to this talk. Maybe it's not so good.
Yeah. I'm also very good at business development. That's me sitting in a high chair in a IBIS budget in Manchester. And you may be thinking, well, that's not business development, that's just being an idiot. Well, you're wrong. It is also a wager where a good friend of mine offered me a week of his 3D art time if I could fit into that high chair, which I did, and I got, and it was, the monetary value of that is high. And the only cost was my dignity.
Yeah, so we went to GDC, as you saw. We had this idea of, we want to make Dead End Job, we want to make it for consoles and for Steam and PC. We put together a sort of slide presentation and a demo. I've been told it's a very, very good slide deck. It kind of covers who the team is, kind of where the game will sit in the marketplace, how we're going to market it, kind of how long it's going to take us, all the money that we need, all of that kind of stuff, and kind of leaves all of like the stuff about the actual sort of gameplay and stuff till the end. I've been told that this is very good. I know at least one console platform holder stole it and has given it to other developers as an example of what they want to see.
But you can have the best slide deck in the world, but if you're looking for a publisher, the most important thing is actually making the deal. So this is my patented finding a publisher graph. 0 is not having a publisher, and 1 is definitely having a publisher, and in between is kind of sort of having a publisher. So this is the journey that RICO took. We started showing it to people in February 2017, and then there was a small peak of interest when we went to GDC. Gradually, over time, that petered out. In June 2017, we had decided that we would self-publish, so we released an announcement trailer. And at that point, a load of publishers, some of whom we talked to, some of whom we hadn't, got in touch and said, we really like your game, are you looking for a publisher? And we were like, yeah, and we also were when we spoke to you 3 months ago. So we carried on that process, and we got to August. I found a publisher. They said, have some money, and you can make your game. And I said, no. I refuse your deal because I am an idiot. At that point, I was talking to another publisher who was offering more money to make a bigger game, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with them. And unfortunately, they, in October, decided they didn't want the game. So I went from having almost 2 publishers to having 0 publishers, which was quite the downturn. And then luckily, spoke to someone else, and we signed a deal in 6 days. Rising Star. So we had a publishing deal, and all it took was 11 months.
I cannot believe it took you 11 months to find a publisher. That is ridiculous. It's such a stupid amount of time.
Well, let's have a look at your graph.
Yeah, it took us slightly longer to find a publisher. We went to a lot of shows with Dead End Job, but like we had this good deck, but kind of we still struggled to kind of get people really into it. We took it to a lot of places, took it to a lot of shows. We kind of got to a point where people were pretty interested in it, but nothing really came of that. And then eventually we'd kind of reached a point where we decided, okay, we're going to have to self-publish this. Got all the paperwork put together for taking out like a loan on the company and how we're going to do it all, and thought, okay, just as a sort of last ditch, we'll email around to a few more publishers, and one of those publishers is the people that they do like the boxed physical versions of Binding Isaac on the Switch in Europe, and they absolutely loved it. So yeah, we got a publisher in the end as well.
Well done, you. So, because my deal was slightly quicker, I win that round. It's arbitrary, but I do.
Round 3.
Production.
Yeah, so like I was saying, the idea of Dead End Job has always been to make this console and like this game for consoles and for Steam. It took us quite a while to make it, 30, 36 months, something like that. But kind of one of the things that I think went really, really well with the production of it was that we got an artist involved at very early days. The art style on Dead End Job is, I think it's pretty critical to the kind of the vibe of the game and like this kind of 90s cartoony art style. I basically said to the artist, look, I've got sort of 2 points of art direction. The first point is I don't want pixel art. And I've subsequently gained a bit of a rep for apparently I hate pixel art. But what it is like all of the games that we were sort of competing against, like Isaac, Enter the Gungeon, Nuclear Throne, they're all pixel art, and I kind of wanted something that would stand out from that and be a bit different. So it was no pixel art, and also we wanted something super eye-catching. So these are the kind of artboard mock-ups that the artist did, like finding like just kind of like different weird bits of imagery. I mean, that's kind of what really honed us in on like this kind of 90s art style. And this was, I think, the first bit of concept art that actually got made. And the main character, although there originally he was going to be the main character, like the artist thought he was going to be. As soon as I saw that guy, I was like, no, that has definitely got to be our main character. So yeah, that came across like really kind of quickly. And so yeah, we got the art mock-up, and to be honest, the finished game looks pretty much like the kind of original gameplay shots that we got done. Those bits and pieces that we added, because we took the game to a lot of shows. I think that's a slide? Yes. So we took the game to loads of shows like this. You may possibly have played it at a previous EGX or EGX Rezzed. It has been at loads of them. Oh yeah, there's the man in the front row. Start playing it. The man. We got loads of really, really great player feedback. It meant that we could hone the game a lot. There's things like the destructible environments and stuff like that all came out of this this kind of process of we'd take it to a show, then I'd go away and work on it for a few months, take it back to a different show, working it a little bit more, and all the times kind of seeing what worked with people, and it really helped.
Yeah, so for me, this is legally we have to do a what went right, what went wrong section. We had some funding for the prototype of RICO from Creative England, which was really useful. It's not for everyone. There's various stipulations. I'd done the same for Skyscraper, so I was a bit more familiar with that process. And it just meant that we had a prototype that we could then take into production really quickly. We had a sensible period of pre-production. We had enough time to decide what we were going to do with the game, establish an art style, those kinds of things. The thing we did wrong there was that we went from that, we took that code and those art assets and put them straight into what would be the final game. We ended up with a ton of extraneous stuff in there, and we should have had a cleaner break. We had a local build machine. A lot of this is kind of aimed at people who are making games themselves. Just shut your ears for a bit if you're not bothered by this. And we claimed our VGTR, Video Games Tax Relief. If you're making a game, if you're in Britain, you should do that. Some people still don't, and they're fools to not do it. What went wrong? The test schedule wasn't right for the team. We had 2 weeks of really intensive testing with loads of external testers, and they found more bugs than we could fix in the time that they were finding bugs. It meant we couldn't fix them in time for them to test them again. The game was very ambitious. We did 4 platforms simultaneous launch. We had online and offline multiplayer, and we only had a team of 4. The outcome was we did simultaneously launch on 4 platforms. They were all released within a week of one another. Online split screen works in all formats, and there were no developer-side delays. The caveat of that being there was a big publisher-side delay which absorbed any delay that we might have introduced ourselves, which would have happened.
I mean, having a simultaneous launch on 4 platforms is all well and good, but at this point I should probably mention that. So I've said Dead End Job is a game for consoles and for like Steam, home computers and that sort of thing. It hasn't actually come out yet.
So I win that one, because RICO came out successfully, like a real game should. There is now a bonus round, which is mostly audio, which gives us a chance to just chill out a bit, because my hotel bar is open for 24 hours.
Round 4.
James Parker writes, hello team, hello SSG. I don't know if you're still after letters, but here's a letter. Next week, I'm meeting up with fellow friend of the show, Tony Gowland, to write our developed conference talk. So my question for you is, which of us is best? Whose games do you prefer and why? Thanks. Jay Parks.
Oh.
I've seen what they're both doing next.
Have you?
I like what they're both doing next.
You got to pick
But
one.
what's your fave?
Tony's is more advanced.
What, you mean intellectually?
Exactly, be coming out the soonest.
Interesting.
But Jay Park's got a really nice idea as well. So
Okay.
I just think that any of Tony Gowland's ideas, were they to ever be made into full games,
Which they are being.
which they are definitely
And have
being,
been.
But his ideas that he sends to us.
Oh, not the real games. So you don't like his real games. You like his joke games.
I like his joke games, and I think if they were made into real games, they would be great games.
I agree with you both.
Licia, you've got the casting votes. Tony or Jay Parks?
Oh God, why would you ask me?
Because you're impartial.
That's true. I can't. I've not played either one though, or have I? Who are these people?
Good question.
Good question. No one you need to worry about.
I'm gonna go with Tony because I
Okay.
like the
Why
name
wouldn't
Tony.
you?
There we go.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Right decision. I think. I don't know.
They're both good.
So there you go. That's an impartial decision from the popular
Well
internet radio
deserved
show,
win, I
One
think
Life Left.
you'll find.
So we both games were developed with console in mind.
Round 5.
Console development is interesting. This is a graph that I've mocked up. That's making a game. It's like a bit of string. I've simplified the process, but the analogy works. If you add console platforms, it makes it slightly complicated. If you add networking to your game, it makes it a bit more complicated. If you do both, it's a giant mess. Don't do that.
Oh, it's my turn. So we approached Dead End Job with the point of view of it's going to be on consoles. So that led to kind of a certain way of thinking. So what, like, an example, like this is actual game dev stuff now, okay? One of the things about that was like we kind of approached the UI in such a way as like, okay, how are we going to make this so that it works with mouse and keyboard and so that it also works with a controller? So there was a lot of stuff where we'd have to look at buttons and button layouts, and like we had like a dynamic system. So if you're playing it on a PC or something, and it's like you switch between using a controller and using a mouse, the buttons automatically change, and not a lot of games actually do that very well. And also in terms of like the layout of the menus and things like that, had to think about like, okay, on a controller, like these screens have to be kind of modal, so you're choosing whether which side you're on, whereas like on a mouse you can just click all over the place and that kind of stuff. And yeah, we've done console porting for other indies and stuff as well, so we were like really confident about our console stuff. We did Mike Bithel's games on the Nintendo Switch. People, we're really good at doing Switch games. And like we got Dead End Job working on the Switch really, really early on. And then one day I think it like led to maybe a little bit of overconfidence because we'd not done a Switch build in quite a while. Suddenly we'd put loads more content into the game, made a new Switch build. Yeah, this will be great. It crashed on loading. It ran out of memory. And we were kind of starting to get to the point where we were closing in on deadlines and things, and we just didn't have time to do our console ports. So we ended up outsourcing them.
What sort of prick did you outsource them to, Tony?
Well, we just found some random company that has also done some console games.
Oh, yeah, it was me. Do you want to talk about it?
Nah.
No, right. Yeah, so I did the console ports for Dead End Job, so I win that round because I am the best.
Round 6.
This is my team. I'm at the top. I'm in charge. I do top-level things and bottom-level things. I didn't mean to phrase it like that. And then we've got a bunch of other people. And it's great. And having full-time staff is excellent because you can change what you're doing very rapidly. You don't have to worry about them running off and joining other companies, at least not short-term. And there's a consistency throughout development. So having full-time staff is the thing to do. Oh, also we make use of a bunch of great outsourcing for audio, some level generation, character level art, and then weapon art, which you get for free if you sit in a high chair.
This is a very nice graph of kind of how our team was put together. So at Workshop, we would actually have staff now, but at the time it was just myself, and I used a lot of freelancers for things. This meant that, like I said, like the sort of development of the game, it went from August 2016, like to kind of like March this year, and that really sort of long development, there's no way that we would have the money to kind of keep on a full team of people working on it. Like, as you can see, like it's a really art-heavy game. We had 3 artists working on it, like the lead artist, who was the concept artist, who did all of the character stuff as well, had the environment artist and a UI artist. So it's like a lot of people kind of working on it. You can kind of see the point here where we actually kind of got funding for the game, and that was where it's like, okay, we need everyone to work on this now. The problem, so like using freelancers is really good in terms of stretching out your development budget. The problem that you've got is, like, in these gaps and stuff, the freelancers that we used kind of kept going off and getting like other work and stuff. It was like, and the worst one was the coders. The coders that we used, every time that we used a coder and then didn't need them anymore, they'd go and get a job at like a proper company. It was like really, really inconsiderate. So yeah, like using freelancers kind of worked out for us, I would say.
Yeah, and because they're real people, we have declared that round a tie. I think we need to pick up the pace a little bit.
Round 7.
So, all right, cool. In which case, we'll finish early. So RICO came out in March, as I said. We had some really good reviews on Steam. This guy says it's as good as Vanilla Doom. I mean, he's technically wrong, but it's a really nice thing for some to say. I enjoyed this review because it's very accurate. This game is dumb as hell by this game. I like that. The game is dumb as hell. This one says, this is like SWAT 4 for the delightful moron, which was exactly what we were hoping to achieve. We got coverage on Yogscast. That was very good, and the audience really liked it. What was nice about seeing people play RICO was that they would play co-op online or split screen, and they would play a whole campaign, and then they would strip it across the week. And the retention from day to day on that was really, really strong. And we were in Steam's new and trending list for a week, which is a really important thing if you want to sell copies on Steam, is to stay visible to people who are just coming across site. If they're not familiar with your game, which people are not familiar with RICO, but if they see it, they get interested because it's a picture of some people with guns. People like games with guns in.
And yeah, like as I mentioned, Dead End Job hasn't yet come out on Steam and consoles.
So I win that. That's Puppet Owl.
Final round.
So the thing that everyone comes for, sales data. Woo! RICO was launched digitally. It was also launched physically in North America and Europe. The rough split, we can't give you actual figures, but I can show you the rough split. So Steam and Switch approximately similar in terms of numbers, and then the other 2 platforms split evenly in the other third. So yeah, that represents quite a number of units. How many units has Dead End Job sold?
It's not great.
How many though?
We've sold one copy of Dead End Job.
Yeah, one copy of Dead End Job has been sold. So, I mean, I win that. I win the sales data. I win the Postmortem battle. I'm the winner.
And should we just have a look at like the kind of financial breakdown of like the sales as well?
I don't think we need to look at the financial breakdown.
Like, because these people, they look like, I mean, that guy looks like he's living for financial data.
Oh, fine.
So I think we should do that.
So this is a sales game reminder that I sold loads of copies and Tony sold 1 copy. So, yeah.
Yeah, but like, so this is the breakdown. Yeah, like in terms of the number of copies we sold. Like, press your fancy little button to
this
make the. Yeah. So like, how profitable is RICO?
Well, and profitable is a very essentially, we've not made any money yet, but I mean it's still early days, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So
with your 1 copy, you've not sold any.
Well, no. So that 1 copy. So like I keep saying, Dead End Job is a game for like PC. Like we were making it for Steam and for consoles. And then earlier in the year, Apple announced a thing called Apple Arcade. And it's a really cool subscription service on iPhones, on Apple TV, on Macs. You can download loads of games. It's £5 a month or something. It's really, really good. And we got Dead End Jobs signed up to that.
What?
Yeah, and that was a really sweet deal for us.
How much money did you make off of that, Tony?
Well, let's see how much money. Steve Jobs! Why wouldn't you let me tell these people how much money you gave us? Well, I guess I for various legal reasons, and that this is apparently being streamed on the internet. I can't tell you how much money we got. So. While James concludes the talk, I'm just going to stand here and flick through my copy of Massive Yachts magazine.
So yeah, probably Tony wins on the sales data round. Ooh, nice massive yacht. And the conclusion, we're both wrong, or we're both right, or we're both idiots, or we're still going. That's the important thing, is that one way or another, we're still going. We are driving through till the bitter end. And that's really all you can ask for in game development. So I hope you take that away with you.
That's it.
That's it. No, it's not quite it. We can do questions
we do
and
actually
answers.
have time for Q&A.
If there's time for that. Does anyone have any questions or answers?
No hands up for question. Good. Right. To the bar.
Hey. Oh, wait. Before we go, tonight, Loading Dalston, Marioki. It's the best thing you can do. 500 songs being rewritten about video games. It's life-affirming, it's fun. I used to look like this, sad, lonely, in an IBIS budget. I did Marioki. I look like this, a fucking rock star. You too can be a fucking rock star. Come to Marioki tonight, Loading Dalston. There's flyers somewhere. Gray, who's wearing a poncho over there, will give you a flyer if you're interested. Bye.
Yeah, but we started 10 minutes ago.